Somebody in your business raised their hand this week. They filled out the form on your site, or they called during lunch, got voicemail and hung up, or they booked an intro consultation with you and didn't show up and nobody ever followed up. That person leaned forward, spent their own time to actively put themselves out there, which people hate doing. And I bet money nobody called them back, or somebody on your team called them once, they didn't answer, and then they said, you know what, they're not qualified. I want to show you what that's costing you. But first, I'm gonna tell you how I found out about this. I've been in the SaaS space for over 5+ years, and sales in general over 10+ years. And those things used to happen like clockwork. I worked in the SaaS space, and we sold CRM systems to nonprofits. We would run group demos, would run seminars on a weekly basis. And there would be people on these group demos that would raise their hands and ask questions or write them in the comments. Now, think about that person for a minute. They took an hour out of their day to hop on a group demo because they wanted to see if it could benefit their nonprofit. That's the hottest lead you can possibly get. And guess what? You know what we failed at? We weren't calling them as much as we should have. Not because we were lazy, not because we were bad at our jobs, especially not me. The demos would happen and then everybody would just go back to the standard workday, or they would get something generic after they attended the demo and not very specific to that question they asked. So I got together with marketing and I said, hey, that person is very intrigued. What are we sending them? They were very specific. It wasn't random if you think about it. They were already using something, and that competitor maybe was doing something that they weren't too fond of, and they're wondering, are you the same or are you different? Now, I know in your business, it may not be a group demo. It might be your social media post, whether that's Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever medium that you use. It's the same concept. Or you might be paying for ads. It's no different. The moment I got together with marketing and we came up with a game plan to target those for my territory, right when I did that, guess what? That next month, I closed 23 deals in a month. That was not normal for my territory or the size of the business I was in. And guess what? There's people who are in enterprise deals and I was still there with them and I shouldn't have been. I didn't just get better at sales. My pitch wasn't any different. I just was specific, tailored to them, and I was accurately following up with the systems we put in place that we had already and nobody was using. Does that sound familiar? Here's the truth though, in most businesses, if something's working, most people don't wanna change anything or look at potential leaks because they feel like they're okay without knowing what their competitors are doing and what's out there in the market. It can be uncomfortable to maybe switch some things up. It's been working. Let's not break anything is the most expensive thing that you can say as a business owner. I get it. Nothing's on fire. Monday comes around. It seems like a normal day, business as usual. Two things could be true. Yes, it has been working, but also you're losing potential deals. They're going to your competitors. Money coming into the front door tells you nothing about the money that you're missing on the back end. And you'll never see the back door if you don't open up your eyes for just a little bit to see if I can tweak something just a tiny bit. And let's find yours. Right now, I don't really need to know anything about your industry to do this. Your hand raisers, every business has this. It just looks a little bit different. Somebody filled out a form, never got a call the same day. Somebody called you during lunch hours, they left a voicemail, but nobody followed up until Tuesday, and it was on Monday when they called. Guess what? They're probably shopping around. Somebody booked a consultation, they didn't show up, and you said, you know what? Let's just forget about them. Yes, I know people should let you know when they can't make it, but life happens sometimes. But that doesn't mean that's a bad person or that's a bad lead. Although you might be missing some of these things, your team is not the problem. And I want to tell you this before you go yell at anybody. Your intake person is not failing you. Your paralegal is not dropping the ball. They're doing what I was doing before I built anything. They have a stack of people to call and no way of knowing which one is hot right now. So they work the stack and then the hot ones eventually cool off because they weren't top priority. They're not the problem, it's your system. Let's be real. Yes, I know that system might have carried you to $500,000, $1 million plus a year, but we can always optimize things. Now, if you want the data behind this, it's ugly. The average salesperson gives up on a lead between 1 to 3 attempts. That's basically one call. Velocify went through a study. They went through 3.5 million leads. And they found that it takes 6 attempts to reach 93% of the people that eventually buy. Let me repeat that. Velocify ran a study with 3.5 million leads. After 6 attempts, they reached 93% of the people that eventually would buy something from your business. Everybody heard about the 5-minute rule, right? Where, hey, if somebody reaches out, you're supposed to respond within 5 minutes and your chances of closing is way higher. That was a study done by MIT in 2007. The guy who ran that study, his name is Oldroyd. He went through 15,000 leads and 100,000 phone call attempts. What he found out during that study is even if you took 30 minutes to call somebody back instead of 5, the rate would drop by a factor of 100. Meanwhile, the average business takes 2 business days to respond to a hot lead that called them, filled out a form, whatever the medium looks like for your business. And here's my other favorite study by Clio. They secret shopped 500 law firms, real people calling in, real clients with a real problem. Only 40% of the firms actually picked up the phone. Nearly a half were unreachable, and only a third replied to emails. Half an industry just unreachable, but yet you have the people in place already. People were calling to actively hand money and they weren't reaching anybody, but yet that same firm will tell you everything's fine. There's nothing broken in our system because we did 5 million plus this year. What if you could do 8? What if you could do 6 million? And if you're paying for leads, that's not cheap anymore. So if you're paying $131 for a lead, calling them one time and they never answer and then you never attempt again, you're just throwing money down the drain. When things get slow, what does everybody do? They go buy more leads. You're buying a more expensive version of the thing that you already have. What I need you to do, grab a paper and pencil right now. We're gonna do math together about your business. So pause this video if you need to go gather that. Open your CRM system. Everybody from the last year that you spoke to that never became a client. The ones that went quiet. The ones that you contacted and never closed. Most businesses, when I tell them to do this, we find 300 to 1,000 leads. So for this situation, let's be modest and say it's only 400. Now let's look at what those 400 leads cost you. Like total marketing spend, ads, agency retainer, software, staff hours, all of it. Take that number and then divide it by the amount of leads produced. And if you don't know that number, that's a start right there. So for this situation, let's take the same 400, times it by 130. That's what the average lead costs in law. That's not projected revenue. That's not potential. That's money that already left your bank account. And guess what it's doing? Sitting in your database doing absolutely nothing. And you don't even have a plan for it right now. What is a client worth to you? Like a full engagement, not a deposit. Let's say it's $5,000 per client. Run a real activation against that list of leads. For our example, we're using that 400. And let's say we only close 2% of those people. 2% of 400 is 8 clients. 8 times 5, that's 40 grand right there. And this is just being modest. This is from people who you technically already paid for. No new ad spend, nothing new at all. So run those against your own numbers. If I were you, this is what I would build to fix that issue. Number 1, find your hand raisers. Those who filled out a form, maybe reach out to you on social media, sent you an email, they're in your CRM system, wherever they are, go find those hand raisers that said they were interested. They showed some type of interest into your business. Number 2, route those people to a person on your team immediately. Lead that belongs to everybody belongs to nobody. So you have to assign those to a team member. Number 3, put a response time on paper that you and your team can actually follow. Vizio did a study with 573 companies, and they found that businesses who actually had written response times as part of their system were 55% more likely to hit their goals. The ones without it, under 30%. And then step 4, build a real sequence. For some people, that might be 6 to 8 touches over 2 weeks. Call, text, email, mix it up because you want to have different variations to reach out to people. Because if you only call, you might be invisible to somebody who doesn't answer unknown numbers. Every quarter, go back to the dead leads, right? And send them a short human message, not some AI bull crap. Send them something that's specific to them. Now that, hey, just checking in, maybe it's a thing that they did. And maybe you could go back and show like, hey, this is what we see when people reach out to us about this situation. This is what we normally help them with. Did you get that resolved this year? How did you go about it? Something new for your industry. That's a machine. The thing is, it's going to look different for everybody. A law firm is different from a real estate company or a nonprofit. But no matter what, the structure is the same. One thing I realize about SaaS companies that do it correctly is if you don't build it, nothing gets done. So look, all I'm saying is somebody raised their hand for your business this week, the week before, and nobody reached out to them in the right manner. We get busy, life happens, we get it. I know you say you have a system, but I do this all the time. So if you didn't learn anything from this today, go check the dead leads in your system if you have one. And if you don't, you're already behind. Go build it. This is the opportunity. We can't live in this day and age anymore without these systems. I don't care what business you are, what industry you're in, everybody needs it. I know it probably worked for 20 years. It probably worked for 5 years. It probably worked for 10 years with quote unquote no problem, but there's gaps. And that's what I do. That's what we find. A lot of times you can do it for free. But if you're one of those companies who say, man, I don't have the time, I don't know where to start, that's where I come in. That's my specialty. I want you to focus on the things that bring you money while we do the things on the back end to continuously help you bring more money. It's always good to have a fresh set of eyes because we're a little bit biased when it comes to our business or the industry that we're in because it's so precious. We know everything about it. But at the end of the day, people like me, we can determine from a fresh point of view of what's missing and what gaps we see because I keep up with the industry as a whole. I'll go through your whole setup. I'll tell you if it's trash for now. I'm gonna be real with you. We're gonna fix that first. We're gonna help you find the gaps that maybe you didn't see, or you might know it's there, you just don't know how to fill it correctly. And then our team, we build your report from start to finish to see, hey, this is the gaps, this is what's missing, and this is what you should do. And this is where you can hire me to execute that plan for you, or you can just take the plan and do it yourself. There's no right or wrong way to go about it, but all I know, there is gaps that you're missing. And if you want me to go take a look, the link is in the description. Check me out on LinkedIn as well. But in the meantime, talk to you guys soon.